Hillel has made my Brandeis experience better because Hillel has made my Brandeis experience, period. I don't know who I would be. I don't know where I would find joy and relaxation. I don't know where I would find that if not for Hillel.
I really appreciate the people in the community more than anything. It's allowed me to grow as a Brandeis student and also as a Jewish person.
What brought me to Brandeis was definitely the Jewish community. I knew always in the back of my mind that I wanted to pursue something related to Jewishness professionally. I knew that Brandeis was a place where I could continue to pursue some of that.
Being Jewish is just a really important part of my identity, and wherever I'd be going, I'd want to be surrounded by a group of people who also feel really connected to their Jewish identity. I really appreciate the opportunity to be a student leader within the Hillel system because it allows me to create these experiences where people get to build this community and be a part of this community. They're the people I can rely on. That's my community, that's my space. Really, the group of people who I found the most connection with are the Jewish students through Hillel.
I think Hillel is really a part of encouraging people to branch out of what they're expecting of themselves and what they see themselves as. Particularly the staff and also my peers really saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and I'm really grateful for how much they believed in me and encouraged me to really believe in myself and believe that the ideas that I had and the thoughts that I had could contribute to a larger community than just what I had ever expected, and that's something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing well.
What brought you to Brandeis? How'd you end up here?
What brought me to Brandeis? Well, when I was looking for colleges, the very first thing that I knew, and really the only thing that I knew going into it, was I really needed a strong Jewish community. And Brandeis certainly has that. I didn't really know what that looked like at the time. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Jewish community was also
Right.
something that I was looking for. I remember when I was looking at colleges, I actually had, this probably won't surprise you at all, I had a spreadsheet.
Indeed.
And it was color-coded and it was awesome. And one of the columns that I had that I looked at every single school was whether or not they had a Hillel and whether or not they had an Israel programs chair or coordinator or whatever on their Hillel board. I really knew that I wanted to not only have a Jewish community, but really be in leadership in it. And that was something that was important to me. So I saw that Brandeis had that. I actually came here for a summer program where I thought that I got a picture of what the Jewish community at Brandeis was like. I was very, very wrong. I also didn't really know what I was getting myself into with just how not only how passionate, but how different.
People talk about Brandeis Jewish. It has that reputation, but that doesn't mean anything until you get here and just experience what Hillel is, what goes on, what the people are like.
Yeah, I think I knew that I wanted to be involved in leadership in Hillel. I don't know how I thought that I was gonna kind of just silo myself into there's a really strong conservative Jewish community on this campus and that's what I'm gonna be a part of, and Hillel. And I thought that that was gonna be congruent with I wouldn't necessarily be interacting with different types of Jews. I don't know if I thought that explicitly, but I definitely I didn't expect it to be what it became, and I'm actually really grateful for that because I think I might have been scared if I had known.
I certainly didn't come here planning to go to conservative services every Saturday morning.
And so I'm really grateful that some of that was hidden a little bit from me so that I could really just be thrown into it and be okay, now I have to figure out how to be Jewish in this crazy pluralistic and super passionate, amazing community. What was Jewish Journeys like for you?
So on my first year retreat, I didn't really know lots of people. I started getting to know people, particularly Reform people, because that's the services I went to and stuff. But really that program, when we just sat down and started talking about those hard-hitting questions of just what does being Jewish mean to you? Do you believe in God? Where do you come from? I just remember hearing people's stories that were so different from each other. And I was wow, there's this many ways to be authentically Jewish. I mean, I guess I must have known that on a logical level, but I don't think I'd ever met somebody who was modern Orthodox in my life. Or a Jew from Ukraine who was like coming to America to study, or just like people coming from so many different like perspectives and ideas and values, and it felt very eye-opening to like see Jews from all those different capacities.
Yeah. Some of the first times that I kind of made my own Shabbat dinner, we had a group of like 9 or 10 of us that would we would go pick up our boxes for dinner, and we would go sit like either outside if it was nice out, or we would sit like in Levin Ballroom, which no one was using because we couldn't gather. We would spread out, so it was like this huge circle of 10 people. So we were probably 8 or 9 feet apart each. It was unbelievable. Wow. But we did have a pretty good spectrum of different Jewish experiences, and just being able to create that experience as just like first years who barely knew anyone and we didn't really know what to do. That was something that really gave me a new perspective on like how so many different types of people like experience different types of Judaism, and also like how we can really come together. That's something that I've learned at Brandeis as a whole, but really I think that experience was formative in making me think about how important it is to be able to find moments where we can come together. What do you think has been a formative experience for you in terms of like maybe your Jewish identity, or maybe just like your personhood, like that has been involved with Hillel, connected to Hillel, something like that?
I think, well, Jewish Journeys was certainly one of them. But I'm thinking of my first Shabbat here when I was a freshman. Friday, I like obviously was like gonna do all the Shabbat things that I could possibly do. Like that's,
we knew you would.
Yeah, obviously. And Friday night I went to the Reform services led by Rebecca Rich, outside of Skyline, between the Skyline and the Castle. And the vibes were wonderful. There were like 30 people there. We were just like singing, and like I don't know that I had ever been to a service like that. But it was like familiar and new and just really cool. And we went to dinner, loved Shabbat dinner. I was like, yes, this is for me. And then I was like, okay, Saturday morning, what am I going to do? There were no Reform services on Saturday morning. So I decided, okay, let's try and go to a conservative service. I'd never done that. I think I'd gone to like a conservative bar mitzvah once for my cousin, and like had been completely lost. And I came to services here in the chapel with Masorti, and I was completely lost. But the people were just so inviting and welcoming and friendly that I decided I would come back again. And like now I really understand what a conservative service is, and like I'm familiar with how it works, and like that wouldn't have happened maybe at any other school, but also just like if the community hadn't been what it was. Like the reason I felt so comfortable exploring past like my little Reform bubble was like because of the people and a desire to learn from each other and experience new things and be Jewish in different authentic ways.
Yeah, I'm also thinking about kind of community in that sense. I remember one particular Shabbat, I think it may have been the second to last or the last Shabbat of the semester, and there was a huge class of seniors that, I mean, I was a freshman and I knew them very well because they were so passionate and involved, and it really, they had contributed so much. And so they were all giving speeches, kind of wrapping up their time. It was like a 2-minute, like Devar Torah type. And at one point, the tent starts uprooting from the ground.
No.
And I just watched like our entire community like running to like hold the poles of the tent down while the seniors are speaking.
Now that's symbolic.
It was incredibly symbolic. And it also reminded me, I think, that like there are so many places and so many campuses where services are at least, if not ran by, led by, or at least attended by some adults somewhere. And that was really something that it was just students that were just, you know, having services on their own. I don't think that would happen elsewhere, where they're really like, we very seriously were like holding down the fort for ourselves. That was a formative, just like hilarious community moment. And I think really defines how much people care about this community. Everyone cared so much, and I think that's so representative of Brandeis in particular. People just care about their Judaism in a way that I've never seen anywhere else.
Yeah. What do you hope that your connection is to Hillel or Brandeis Hillel once you graduate?
I think definitely Hillel as a whole I want to stay connected to probably for the rest of my life. I think there's nothing more important to me than like the growth and the support of Jewish identity that I think Hillel's, not just at Brandeis, really everywhere, provide. But Brandeis Hillel will always hold a special place in my heart. It's something that I know I'm going to be connected to because I can't separate Brandeis Hillel from the way that I live Judaism now. Like, it's just not possible. So much has been shaped by my experiences here. Honestly, I'd love to live in the area. I'd love to, be around, be an alum who's, rallying the troops, coming on alumni weekend, helping like do whatever I can do to make sure that my peers stay connected to the community and that there are new students who are feeling supported and feeling a part of this broader alumni network also. Because I think there are names, I'm sure that you've had the same experience. There are names that come up of people who I've never met who I feel so connected to just because I've heard stories about them. And I want to be a part of continuing that like broader community outside of whoever's there in that like 4-year span. I want to be a part of supporting this community for a really long time. And I think that's, it shows how much this community means to so many of us.
Every year, Mangina has an alumni weekend where we bring back some of our recent graduates. And I've gotten to meet some people who like I wouldn't have otherwise gotten to meet. Just the way that the character of Brandeis, like of Brandeis students, like spans longer than a 4-year generation, is I think really cool. And I hope that when I'm a recent alum, I'll be able to come back and meet the new freshmen in Mangina and like be a part of stories and just getting to talk to people and meet people and stay connected.
I don't think that I would be as accomplished. I don't think I would be as happy. I don't think I would be as strong in myself or in my Jewish identity without Hillel at all.
Before coming to Brandeis, I never really sort of left my bubble of like Jews that think like me and look like me and act like me. It's been really wonderful to be able to experience all sorts of different ways to be Jewish.